Hi, I'm State Senator Joe Markley from Southington, up here at the Capitol where we've just finished a very short Senate session. I'll bring you up to date on that and a potpourri of goings-on around here these days. Today's session simply involved executive nominations, which are nominations the governor's made for commissioners and for boards and so forth. No judges today. One interesting feature of this is these nominations only have to go through one chamber. The nominations we had in the Senate were all uncontroversial. In fact, they all passed unanimously. In the House, they have a couple, including Commissioner Katz at Department of Children and Families, that are going to attract some debate and I expect some no votes. But those nominations don't have to come up to the Senate and won't come up to the Senate. They'll just clear the House. So we're done for the day and about to head home. Is where I thought it would be a chance to bring you up to date. Obviously, the big issue here continues to be the budget, where we've been holding lengthy hearings in the Appropriations Committee, and we've started the work at the subcommittee level of meeting with the agencies and looking at the numbers. Frankly, as I think I've said before, there's no way to make this budget look good, and my expectation is that we're going to be shaping it for a long time without liking the form that it takes. And maybe in June or even in July, if we're here for a special session, actually confronting a tax increase, which obviously I will oppose, I have been worried about, and yet I rather see coming down the road. This is why I think we need to be looking at cutting the budget every year, everywhere we can, and that should be our relentless goal until our fiscal situation improves. Another big issue up here is e-cigarettes. I've been getting a lot of emails from folks in my district and throughout the state about additional regulation that are going to be placed on them. I have to say, what I've seen makes me think that they've been a healthier alternative for people who were smoking, and I'm not inclined at this point to put restrictions on e-cigarettes. We can always revisit it if there seems to be a problem, but I think the instinct of saying we've got to regulate something is a mistake. We also are talking about making changes in our system of registrars of voters because there have been some problems in limited areas, really in the city of Hartford in the last election. The Secretary of State has basically come out with a proposal to completely change the system, only have one registrar, and have that be an appointed person. I'm very much against it. I think we have a system that's worked very well for the state for literally hundreds of years, and I'm not inclined to change it at this point. Finally, I wanted to mention the eminent domain issue that I've spoken about before. You know, I think I've explained that the government has decided to use eminent domain to take away licenses from companies. And this is a new use of eminent domain, not to take tangible property like land, which is usually the case where a road is going to be constructed, but rather for the government to say that because a license facilitates business, it can be treated as a facility and thus is subject to eminent domain. I think this opens the door to tremendous abuses. I put a bill in on that died in the Government Administration and Elections Committee. But interestingly, the chairs of the Planning and Development Committee recognized the importance of what I was trying to do, and on their own initiative raised a bill on planning and development. It's actually Senate Bill 881, which now has unanimously been passed out of the Planning and Development Committee, and will go forward in the process. In fact, they altered their original bill to make it parallel the bill that I had proposed, so it applies not just to the Department of Transportation, but to any part of state government, to say that eminent domain can only be used to take tangible property. I think it's an important point to make. If eminent domain can be applied to intellectual property, a company coming to Connecticut has to be worried about whether their patents, for instance, might be subject to seizure by the state. I would think that would have a chilling effect on relocations to Connecticut. Anyways, that's a brief update on a few miscellaneous things. I expect we'll be back in session again in a couple of weeks, and I'll be back to you then or before then. Thank you very much.